in juz number 27, Surah Ar-Rahman, the well-known and favorite surah of many of us, Surah Ar-Rahman, and we will recite all the way till Surah Al-Mumtahina in juz number 28. Of the surah that we'll recite is Surah Al-Hadid. Surah Al-Hadid. Surah Al-Hadid is a very beautiful surah that's after Ar-Rahman, Al-Waqi'ah, and then Al-Hadid. One of the themes of Surah Al-Hadid, there is an element of it speaking about the Day of Judgment and the afterlife, and so it's paired with Surah Al-Waqi'ah. It's a twin of Surah Al-Waqi'ah. But one of the things it really focuses on is spending in the path of Allah, infaq. And actually there are 29 ayahs in the surah. 9 of them directly speak about spending or not spending. That's a third of the surah. And by the way, if you want to really know about spending and money matters, 2 places that everyone should read, Surah Al-Hadid and Surah Al-Baqarah towards the end. The last portion of Surah Al-Baqarah is almost all about money. Not just about sadaqah, about witnesses, about the proper way to go about doing transactions, about interest. A lot of money-related finances are discussed at the end of Surah Al-Baqarah. Surah Al-Hadid is the second place. So a third of the surah, 9 out of 29, a third of the surah is about spending. A lot of the very, very famous verses that we know, for example, the concept of qard hasan, man dhal ladhi yuqridu Allah qardan hasanan, that we often cite and we often share and remind ourselves with, it's in this surah as well. However, the one that I want to point out is the verse that's not directly about spending, but it's about withholding. Allah Azza wa Jalla says, لِكَيْ لَا تَأْسَوْا عَلَى مَا فَاتَكُمْ وَلَا تَفْرَحُوا بِمَا آتَاكُمْ. Allah has legislated or has told you about the concept of qadr, the concept of taqdeer, the concept of things having been willed by Allah, the predestination of Allah Azza wa Jalla. And the ayats before it speak about that. This concept of qadr and taqdeer, what benefit does it actually give people? This is an important question to ask, because usually we have doubts about qadr. And we ask about it, how can Allah know and Allah have willed and I still have the chance to do anything? But that's what qadr is. Qadr is, by its very nature, it is not going to be completely understood by anyone. That's the nature of qadr. However, we understand 2 things. We know that qadr is true, it's in the Quran, and we know that choice, our choice, we choose to do things. هَدَيْنَاهُ السَّبِيلَ إِمَّا شَاكِرًا وَإِمَّا كَفُورًا. We do choose to do 2 things. How those 2 things come together, we don't understand. That's part of our limitation as a creation. We can't grasp it, like many other things. However, the benefit of qadr that we don't think of, that it gives, the reason why Allah tells us about qadr is because Allah says, لِكَيْ لَا تَأْسَوْا عَلَى مَا فَاتَكُمْ. The point of qadr is this. When you say Allah willed it, so it was. The point is so that when you miss out on something, you're not saddened. وَلَا تَفْرَحُوا بِمَا آتَاكُمْ. And when you're given something, you're not happy either. Now Ibn Ashur says, rahimahullah, this is against the nature of humans. How could you? Obviously, if you get something that you desired, you're happy. And obviously, if you lose an opportunity, you lose a loved one, you lose something that was dear to you, obviously it hurts. But the point is, there's a cap to it. There's something to console you. Your sadness and grief can be lessened. You can be comforted by the fact, and that's what we tell people. When someone passes away, what do we say? It's Allah's will. Allah decided this, right? Have trust in Allah's will. So we use that to comfort people, and that's eventually how people console themselves. And then when we get something, we do get happy. But happiness can very easily lead a person into a state of delusion where they think that they deserved this, and they think they had a right over this. So happiness also there has to be a cutoff for your happiness. Otherwise, you lose the aspect of servitude and ubudiyyah to Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's the real benefit of qadr, the fruit of qadr. Then Allah says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ كُلَّ مُخْتَالٍ فَخُورٍ. But Allah does not like boastful, arrogant people that like to show off. And now the question is, what's the relation with qadr? Okay, we understand the benefit of qadr. That's what qadr does. It consoles us. And it keeps us from transgressing against Allah. But what's it related to this? Allah doesn't like these people. These are a specific group of people who don't believe in qadr. It's a whole chain. You don't believe in qadr, so you don't thank Allah. And you don't have tawakkul on Allah because there is no Allah. You don't believe in qadr. You don't believe in a God. Okay, so what do you do then? So if you get a blessing, you say this was my hard work and only my hard work. I want to celebrate myself. I want to treat myself. And so what does that happen? You're not, if you don't believe in qadr, you don't recognize Allah's favor. If you don't recognize Allah's favor, you don't thank Him. You're ungrateful. Okay, if you don't thank Him and you're ungrateful, then what happens? Then what happens is you become boastful. You say, I have the right to do so. It's my money. I've earned it. It's my hard work. It's my effort. So then you become boastful. It's a whole chain reaction. Allah does not like these people. Part of that chain reaction down the line is bukhul, is actually holding back from money, because it was my money that I earned with my effort. Nobody else helped me in it. It's my money. And I don't owe it to anyone. I deserved it because I don't recognize Allah's fadl and creation. I don't recognize His qadr. I don't recognize His fadl. So then it's my money. So then why should I give? If I give, I might give for a worldly cause. I might set up a nice charity, or there's a huge press release, and there's a camera on that, then I'll give. But especially the concept of giving secretly, because we're supposed to give both ways. It's good to give publicly to encourage. It's also good to give some amount privately as well. But why would you give privately? Why would you give to anyone? You can very well say, nobody deserves my money. So Allah says, these are people, يَبْخَلُونَ, they're stingy themselves, وَيَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبُخْلِ. They love to see other people be stingy as well. They tell other people, why are you wasting your money giving sadaqah? Why? Because they themselves don't want to be exposed, and so they love for everyone else to be like that as well. Meanwhile, the believer is the complete opposite. The believer says, well, it's not really my money anyways. And earlier in the surah, Allah says, مِمَّا أَنْفِقُوا مِمَّا جَعَلَكُمْ مُسْتَخْلَفِينَ فِيهِ. Allah says, it's not your money, we just gave it to you for a little bit of time. It's like you're entrusted with it. You're entrusted with it. It's not really my money. Someone says, wow, you're so amazing. You say, it's just from Allah. I didn't really do anything. So then you think it's from Allah. I need to do what Allah says, and Allah says to give, so I'll give. And I believe in qadr, so I believe that giving is not going to be the cause of me getting into poverty. So it just as how taqdeer is, belief is so important because it makes a person either engage in good actions or bad actions with that entire chain. And so when a person rejects taqdeer of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it all comes down all the way to the bottom, and it ends up making a person greedy, selfish, and self-centered. And lastly, the power of taqdeer and the power of sadaqah are also linked because many a times, the true results of an action don't show their face until the day of judgment. That's what taqdeer is. Someone says, I was wronged, and then I was not avenged in my life. So you tell them there's akhirah. Allah will give you that, the reward for your patience in the akhirah. So the akhirah waits. And sadaqah, you might give, maybe you don't see it immediately happen here, but there's a lot of reward waiting on the other side. So it links both of those things together. And we can see how all of the concepts of the Quran, they're all linked together. We ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to make us a people who are firm in our belief on qadr. Hence, we are grateful to Him. We recognize His fadl over us. And hence, we spend in His path generously. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam.